Hi there, everyone. My name is Jackie Mathis. I'm going to be walking you through Skuid and Outlook, how to use Outlook objects within your Skuid applications. And the first question I always ask before I use a data source is, when would I use that in Skuid? So the first time, or the first answer to that question is really when you want to use all of the objects in Outlook. Skuid sits on top of the Microsoft 365 APIs, so we have access to contacts, to emails, to calendar events, and to tasks. And not only are we able to view that data within Skuid applications, your end users can also write back to Outlook, being able to update calendars, which I'll show you here in a bit. The second answer to that question of when should you use Skuid with Outlook is when you have a custom need for your application. Skuid acts as that single pane of glass to be able to build robust applications with all these data sources. And so when you have a need of Outlook to react in a specific way within a situation, leading to better user adoption, leading to your metrics that you're measuring internally and better business decisions with that Outlook data, that's when you would definitely use Skuid with Outlook, is when you have a very custom need, but you don't want to use code to be able to fulfill that. And the final one is actually my favorite, which is when you need other data sources to interact with Outlook actions. All of our data sources may have data actions, which in Outlook would be sending an email is a great example. So maybe you need to send an email based off of actions in other data sources like Salesforce. And being able to use action sequences out of the box without having to write any code is a very powerful way of making sure that you're not only preserving your data hygiene, but also being able to give your end users the power of taking action in one place, but within multiple data sources and multiple different contexts. And where can you use Outlook data? Really, you can use it in a lot of different components in Skuid, from tables to rich text to calendars to filters and charts and field editors and buttons and row actions, and really anywhere you can use data is a place that you can consider using Outlook. And I'm going to go ahead and show you an example of an Outlook demo that I've built within a Salesforce Skuid application. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So this is an example of my Outlook application within Skuid. You can see up here at the top, I have different KPIs that I've configured through rich text, looking at total messages, looking at unread messages, and also looking at deals and discovery this quarter. So having Salesforce KPIs next to Outlook KPIs, but my end users may not know where the data is coming from because honestly, they don't care. They just want to be able to do their job. And down here is the calendar view, where I can see my Outlook calendar and I can see all of my Outlook events. But Skuid goes above and beyond just being able to see my Outlook calendar. I can actually pull multiple calendars or multiple event sources into the Skuid calendar component. Like here I have the Washington Nationals. I'm a big Nationals fan, even though the season hasn't been that great. And I can click a button and be able to see multiple event sources within this calendar, and I'm even able to color code them to make sure that I know what I'm looking at any point of time. And then the other big deal here is, again, we're sitting on top of the Outlook 365 APIs, which means that the end user can not only see events, they can also easily create them. So for instance, I have maybe on the 27th, I want to create a meeting about meetings. I can create an Outlook calendar event. I can name this event meeting about meetings, because how often does that happen? I can save it. And then in my other tab in Chrome, I actually have my Outlook account open, and you can see that if I go into it, that meeting about meetings is there in my Outlook account. So this is a bidirectional ability of your end users to affect their Outlook data. And this is not just for Outlook calendar, but like I said earlier, we have all of the other objects in Outlook as well. For instance, tasks. I don't know about you all, but I love Outlook tasks to be able to keep organized throughout the day. So here I can change the importance in the filter and see all of the different tasks that I have and be able to filter them based off of their importance, based off of their status. I can go ahead and mark them complete. I can edit. I can add new tasks from here. And then also under list view, I can see Outlook data in multiple ways. So for instance, maybe your end users want to be able to see a list view of calendar events instead of the calendar view. And this is a really important concept in Skuid as a whole. What's really important about being able to iterate on the fly in Skuid so easily with our drag and drop interface, it also gives you the ability to make sure your end users, who all need to see data in different ways, have the flexibility to do their job in a way that's the most efficient for them. So being able to use Outlook data in multiple different components means that you can present this data in multiple different ways, depending on the needs of your end users and the use case that you're presenting. Contacts is another object within Outlook. So here I can even click on my name and be able to send a message to myself and say what the subject is, what the body content is, and I'm able to send it through that Outlook ability. And speaking of messages, we also have the ability of seeing all of these different emails that are in my Outlook. And I would never suggest using a Skuid application to replace Outlook altogether. But what's important here is being able to not only see the body of the content, but I can also have row actions where I can reply within a table to this account and have an email conversation back and forth. And sometimes you need to be able to do that with other data sources. So one of the examples that I have here that actually came out in a real life opportunity and a real life proof of concept I was building was the idea of I need Outlook data actions when Salesforce data is being updated. So what we're looking at here is actually a list of opportunities in Salesforce, but here in the table you can see the different row actions, and I have two, the paper airplane, which is one of my favorite icons, but then also you can see that I have a conditional rendering around this Outlook email row action, so it only appears during formal proposal sent. And the use case out in the field was every single time an opportunity got to a stage, we actually needed to email the opportunity owner information about that account. And so what this Outlook email button does is it emails the owner of the Salesforce opportunity. And if I edit and go into Composer View and scroll down to my opportunities table, you can see that what I'm doing here is I'm using the Outlook data action. So in the actions ability in the table, what I'm saying is every single time this button is clicked, it's going to trigger a Skuid Outlook action type of send a new message. I can configure the subject, and most importantly, you can see here that I am dynamically pulling in the owner email from the Salesforce data, from the Salesforce model, into this row action. So we have a seamless ability to have Salesforce data within Outlook actions. I hope this was a good example of how to use Outlook within your own Skuid applications, and that you're going to dig in and use it yourself. Here, if I go ahead and bring this back in, you can see that we have documentation around the Outlook data source. I highly recommend that you visit it here. You can also just go to docs.skuid.com and click on Outlook and be able to search for Outlook. Also, keep an eye out. We have a wonderful new release coming around Skuid Spark. This is our new release where we're upgrading our components and upgrading design systems and upgrading all sorts of capabilities within Skuid that I'm very excited about. If you haven't used Skuid within your own instance today, please feel free to go to skuid.com/demo to download a free trial yourself and get a sense of how powerful Skuid can be to rapidly create these applications with multiple different data sources for all the different use cases that you have internally.